Section 311 is the sunset of the 2001 authorization for military force. This is the root cause of a lot of our military adventures that are taking place around the globe. Back in 2001, 3 days after the attacks of September 11th, Congress passed Senate Joint Resolution 23 and this authorization for military force, which stated in one sentence, quote, "In general, that the president is authorized to use all necessary and appropriate force against those nations, organizations, or persons he determines planned, authorized, committed, or aided the terrorist attacks that occurred on September 11th, 2001, or harbored such organizations or persons, in order to prevent any future acts of international terrorism against the United States by such nations, organizations, or persons." That's it. That is the one sentence that has authorized the war on terror for the last 2 decades and moved beyond the original intention of this authorization that was passed back in 2001. And so it's time to sunset it and re-examine what foreign wars we should be involved in, if any. So the War Powers Act itself, it was passed back in 1973 when Congress found out that President Nixon had been bombing the nation of Cambodia during the Vietnam War and not telling Congress about it. So they passed the War Powers Act to restrict his ability as commander-in-chief to unilaterally declare war. They reclaimed the constitutional authority under Article 1, Section 9. And but Nixon vetoed the War Powers Act. And so Congress came together with the necessary 2/3 to override it and make it law. And basically it says that if the president sends troops somewhere and uses force against a country, he needs to notify Congress within 48 hours. He can't engage in military force for more than 60 days without the approval of Congress, either through a declaration of war or an authorization of military force. And if he doesn't get it, then he has 30 days to withdraw military force. And so again, this 2001 authorization for military force was passed in response to September 11th, and we've done it. Osama bin Laden has been dead for over a decade. Like, since this authorization for military force has been passed, he has been dead for longer than he has been alive. It's time to repeal this. Al-Qaeda has been demolished. ISIS is no more. And yet, according to the Friends Committee on National Legislation, this authorization for military force has been used to justify actions in at least 19 countries. And, quote, "The 2001 authorization for military force is the legal basis used to justify all current wars. For this reason, it is often called the blank check for endless wars." And they're right. If we want to end the endless wars, we have to re-examine our policies and cancel the blank check. Now, this wouldn't be done instantly. This is a sunset. Language comes from an amendment that Congresswoman Barbara Lee offered in 2017. She was the only member of Congress to vote against the 2001 authorization for military force, raising concerns that today were totally justified, concerns about how it would be used to expand military force around the planet. So she offered an amendment to the annual appropriations bill that would sunset the authorization for military force in 240 days. The committee supported that. Congress as a whole did not, and so it did not become law. So under Section 311, this authorization for military force would sunset on June 30th, 2023, about 8 months after it became law. And it would sunset, it would be repealed. And so in those intervening 8 months, 2 Congresses would have the chance to take a bite at the apple and make the difficult decisions about where exactly we should be using military force in the war on terror. There'll be difficult decisions to be made. I recognize that, I realize that. But this is Congress's responsibility to declare war. This is their duty to do these things. And to just say, well, back in 2001, we passed this authorization and that's just a blank check to keep going. No, it's wrong, and we can correct it with Section 311. So Congress, it'll make them act. And next chair, I think that concludes my testimony for Section 311.